Okay, so now that we have our notes back open, all right. So hi everybody. This is the next one in the series. I'm going to stop bumping the table. I'm sorry about my office. As you can see, I had children, and this is just it's life. Hi, life. Um, so we're gonna next is the next in the series talking about web team positions and what do they mean. And the next one in the series is quality assurance person. These guys are awesome. They are the unsung heroes of the web team, and they are super duper important. It's also called QA, so quality assurance QA, and basically they're like the saving grace. So it doesn't matter how hard a web team works on a project, if there are errors in it, the whole thing looks like crud, so they're kind of the people that kind of save everybody else's butts. So what do they do exactly, and how are they such a crucial part of a web team? I should probably move my notes over here so I stop looking over there, but basically their job is to take what a customer, they keep everybody in check, right? So it's also the customer. So what they do is they take what the customer sends and they review it, and they review it against a set of preset standards. Now, what does that mean? That means that, are we just trying to make sure that the English is proper, or are we trying to make sure that the English is proper, but it's also set for a certain grade level? Like if it's something that is extremely generic or has to reach a certain, like does it have to meet like certain guidelines? Does it have to meet um, people that maybe only have a high school education? So the grade level has to be a certain level. It can't be like college level words in it, because that's not going to work. Or does it have to be something that's super generic? Or does it have to be something that is product oriented? Or does maybe the company itself has got some language in it that has to be used, or industrial language that has to be used? Those are all preset qualifications that a QA person has to know before they start. So they have to know, well, what's the basis that I'm starting from? But once they have that and they have the style guide, they go to town and they rip your site apart. So I swear, we love them. They're great, but they do go in there with a red pen, and they are excellent at their jobs. So what do? They do a lot more than just grammar. They do a lot more than just looking through a website and trying to figure out, you know, does this word mean this or that word mean that? What they do is they look for inconsistencies, and that's not just, of course they look for inconsistencies in the words and the sentence structures, but they also look for inconsistencies in the site itself. So like, let's say you have a 1,000-page website and you're looking through it and you're like, well, why does this one have blue buttons and this one has teal buttons? Well, maybe somewhere along the line the blue buttons got changed to teal buttons, but they didn't go back and change the blue buttons into teal buttons. They find those inconsistencies and they're like, hey, everything needs to be consistent and you need to update these. And they send that out to the web team and the web team corrects them. Those kinds of things. So it's also things like, well, why is the footer weirding out on this one page, but the rest of the site looks okay? Hey, developer, go fix this. They are like literally the unsung heroes of the web team. We give them a lot of grief because it's like, no more edits. But in the end of the day, they make a much better product because they, stick their foot in the door and say, hey, wait, this is wrong. Um, they go through and they look at everything. They look at the style guide that the designer creates when they create your website. And they're like, well, this isn't like this, and this isn't like this. This wasn't stated to be consistent. What makes a site or any design project awesome is having a consistent style, so that when the user comes to the website or the user goes to your printed products, they know what to expect. They know what to look for. They know that if there is red on the site, it's a call to action. It's a cue to do something. But if that call to action is now suddenly purple, they might skim past it. They might be looking for something and they can't find it. And that is why consistency is so important. I'm going to do another video on how consistency is important, because it's a critical thing to have on your site, and it's boring, but that's what makes the website more successful, is when things are consistent and they're done correctly, and the QA person does that and they're awesome at it. So other things a QA person can do is that if your site has special requirements, again, we talked about industry language. Also, if your site has to be government 508 compliant, they need to know what those requirements are. Otherwise, they can't make sure that your site has those things. They can't make sure that the product descriptions read a certain way, or that let's say you have certain products or services where something must be mentioned, or maybe just your licensing number has to be on there for state or county regulations. They can make sure that those things happen so that you don't get dinged from somebody else. So that's why a QA person, somebody that is not invested in the design and is not invested in the code, because typically what happens on those two things is they get tunnel vision. They don't see the errors because they're so worried about getting the design to look appealing, or they're so worried about making sure that the code is done in a correct way that they don't see these little things. And a QA person will pick that stuff up. And it's really, really important because you want to have a great product at the end of the day. You're spending the money for this site. You want to make sure that it's correct and that going forward, those things are followed. So even if you have site updates going forward, the QA person is going to be able to pull that information up, look at it and be like, yeah, this is right. There's like, no, this is wrong. And they can pull that stuff out. And then they send that set of edits in a very clear, defined way. And it's awesome in a Word document or in an email. And they go through, the designer or the developer will go through and they make those edits as done. And then once those done, it goes back to the QA person to make sure that those edits are showing up. And then that correction is put to bed. So those things are really, really important. And consistency is just amazing on a website. It really, really is. It makes a big difference. So all of these edits just result in a rock solid website that ensures everyone else's work is done right. Like the user experience person's rules are followed and so on. And we've kind of already gone through that, but it makes the end product amazing. And so quality assurance, if you're kind of looking at that line item on the contract and be like, why am I going to spend hours for this person to do it? I'm already sending out the text for this site. I guarantee you that there's going to be some changes you want to make in that text. Even if you've gone through the text that you were providing to your web person or your agency or your web designer, there's going to be changes that are going to need to be made. And it could be something as simple as we need to make changes, we need to make updates because the layout of the site is changing. Or maybe the content management system, like let's use WordPress, you've got something specific that can't be put in this one little spot, that we need to change it. They're going to be able to call out those things and they're going to be able to update your text to be what it needs to be because they are English majors. They know these things. So that's important. And they are not SEO people. They are not designers themselves. They just are able to spot things that are not correct and correct them based on a set of predefined guidelines. Again, those are grade levels. Those are industry standards. They're specs. They're important. And they will work with you. If you have a special industry, they can work with you and they should work with you to make sure that everything's going to make sense to not only the owner, but the person visiting the site. So they're a little bit like UX in that way, is that they want to make sure that the person visiting the site, the end user, is familiar and knows where they need to go to make things happen. So again, that's what a QA person does. If you have any questions, do leave them in the comments below. I am very good about answering them. Also, I wanted to offer that I do offer online consulting. So if you've got a website, you just need someone to run through it and be like, these are the problems, these are what needs to be fixed, and give you an action plan. I do offer that, and I offer them in 30 and 60-minute intervals. So if you want to go to the website, I put a link in the description below about where you can schedule that. That would be awesome. I would love to look at your site and go through it and show you what needs to be done and then provide you a PDF that actually shows you what needs to be done written down. And then we can go from there if you want to hire me or if you want to go somewhere else or try to do it yourself. Because a lot of stuff I'm updating on the website, they're simple things, but they need to be done. So again, leave comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Thanks so much. Bye.